Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the We the Locals podcast. My name is Josie.
I'm Jessica.
And we got Stu pushing the buttons in the back. Hey, Stu.
Hello.
From the far beyond. Seems echoey in here tonight.
It does.
I don't know why. Nothing's changed. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We hope that you are having a wonderful evening. If you could please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to this episode, as well as our channel. Maybe take a minute and text the link out to a few of your friends, family, neighbors, enemies, whoever might want to hear of all the things happening here in South Florida. We are recording on, I always like to say this, you know when we were recording on Thursday, November 20th. We were attempting to record earlier this week and were unable to do so. So here we are. And if you would like to sponsor our show or help us keep our lights on, help us to go back to live streaming episodes, you can do that whether through a business, personal donations, or if you're a candidate that you would like to have your name featured, you can let us know. You can reach out to us through our website. And if you could take a moment also to follow us on all of our socials, we'd appreciate it. I think that's it, right? That's all the beginning announcements.
Sounds like you did it all, Josie.
Covered it
Good
all
job. Yeah.
to the top.
Yeah. So it's been a crazy couple weeks. I know for me. I don't know about you, Josie, but
so busy. I'm really ready for Thanksgiving
I can't
break next week.
I can't even remember like when we last recorded. 2 weeks feels like
it feels like it was 1,000 years ago.
It really does. It really does.
I honestly feel like it's been November for a really long time, but then at the same time, I also cannot believe that it's already November 20th.
Right.
Like, part of me is like, wait, it's November 20th, but we've been in November forever, but we're still in November. I don't know. I'm
like, we have 6 weeks to the end of the year, you know.
Holy
I'm like,
shnikes.
I can't believe it's all over. It's been, we had the week that we recorded, we had the RPOF starting that weekend. So the RPOF quarterly
how was that?
over the weekend. It was good. It was really good because We the Locals was highlighted for the state committee man, state committee woman caucus meeting.
So if you are new to watching us because of that, welcome.
Yes, absolutely. So we had a great opportunity of I had a great opportunity because Josie wasn't there, but I mentioned you many times.
Oh, thank you.
And then it was also The Yard Sign, which is a podcast that's on the West Coast, and they focus a lot on like national stuff, but they kind of get into the we local stuff too. And so this caucus meeting to talk with the state committee men and state committee women around the state, because each county gets one man and one woman to represent them at the state level at the RPOF. And so we got to talk about the importance of podcast and how important long form was, and that this is really what we've been doing for the last 2 years and establishing our podcast is exactly what especially young people are looking for. They want more information. They want to be able to understand what's going on around them locally. And so we had an opportunity to just kind of chat about the importance of podcasts, what our listeners like, what we kind of dive into in our podcast. So it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And, Joe LaFauci, who is our state committee man, who's been on the podcast a few times, he actually is the vice chair of the caucus. So he ended up inviting us, and then Yard Sign, and then Mr. LaFauci had other arrangements, so he wasn't there personally.
He had other obligations.
Oh,
was he in DC?
No, not this time. And then
love you, Joe.
So our state committee woman, Jody Schwartz, actually stepped in and was the one that asked us the questions and kind of moderated the forum. So it was nice to kind of have a really strong Palm Beach feel there.
Gotta represent.
Yeah, so it was good. So I highly recommend checking out The Yard Sign. I've linked them on our socials, I think, so you can check them out there. And then what else happened for the RPOF that everybody should know? They've launched a website, allrepublicansvote.com, allrepublicansvote.com. And that kind of tells you, it helps give data how you are looking to vote. So whether it's vote by mail, whether it's early, whether it's in person, the state RPOF would like to know that information so that we know how to properly chase votes.
Oh, so it's like a survey?
Yeah, kind of like it's a website. Like you can go onto it and then like you'd click, like I plan on voting by mail, and then you can like submit your information. So you can go ahead and check that out. Statewide, we had an 84% turnout for Republicans in 2024. So that was really good.
That's really good.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
see if we get that in we should get that in 2026 with the gubernatorial race.
I would hope so. I would at least hope it would be high 70s would be, I think, great with not having somebody like Trump on the ticket.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, do we know what it was in 22?
No, I'd have to look it up.
I don't know it offhand. Because that was, I mean, that was a big turnout in Florida. We had a huge turnout in Florida.
Yeah.
For Governor DeSantis in 22 at the top of the ticket.
Yep.
So we'll see. We're going to get into the gubernatorial race in a little while, but we'll see if there's a draw at that point.
And, and the RPOF kind of refocused that their goal is to get out the vote. Like that's their primary job. We don't really, and that's what a lot of people don't understand is when you're in a state or local party is that it's not really about picking candidates. It's about getting out the vote. And really encouraging voters to educate themselves on the candidates to make sure that the best candidates win. And we outraised the Democrats 10-1 so far this year. So we're doing really good as far as.
I mean, Byron has pulled in a lot of money, like a lot of money.
Yeah,
I was just looking at some of the numbers.
And then a big hot topic that everybody wants to talk about is redistricting.
Is that going to happen?
And so it is being talked about. So committee weeks and stuff are going on at the state level. So a few people that I know that are out there are kind of mumbling, like, oh, we're hearing some things about redistricting. They're hoping to pick up 2 seats, which is really interesting. And with this that has come out with Sheila McCormick,
no, we don't usually talk about congressional people, but we need to talk about this just a little.
Yeah. So she got elected in a special election in 21. She won against Jason Mariner. Yeah. Well, the thing of it is that she took FEMA funds and put them into her campaign, and at least that's what she's being indicted for.
So sketch.
It's so sketchy, and it was interesting because Jason Mariner was the first campaign that I worked on. Mm-hmm. And so when we kind of found out like where all this money was, like she was a well-funded candidate, it was like shocking to us how much money that was coming into her campaign. And that was, I was so green. I didn't even know how to knock on a door, at that point.
Right. And you don't, at that point too, you also don't know really what it takes, what kind of money it takes for a congressional run.
Exactly.
Either. So you're like, whoa. I mean, I know it was a lot more than normal, but like, I remember when I first heard like people talking about running for Congress and they're like, oh yeah, at least $2 million. That I was like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You're great for Congress? Like the district's only this big. We're not running for like a statewide race.
So, and I didn't have a chance to like thoroughly read the article. So I don't know when the $5 million from FEMA was. I don't know if it was exactly 2021 or if it was for her reelection that would have been in 2022.
It was, I thought I had it. Hold on. Here we go. Oh, it doesn't say.
Yeah. So
it says her campaign account.
Yeah, I'm trying to think when when she would have been eligible for FEMA funds because it would have been
after hurricanes,
right?
So in 22 is when we got Ian.
Yeah, so Ian, I don't know if that was part of that or not.
Ian hit like what, right before?
Yeah, I don't know the timing.
The election? It hit right before the election in
2022.
Mm-hmm.
So so anyway, she was doing some shady stuff regardless of the well, she got elected mainly in 2021 because she promised everybody $1,000 a month. Oh, that was her campaign promise.
Right,
where's your $1,000, people?
Did you get it?
Where's your $1,000?
Yeah, I mean, that's such a gerrymandered district.
Oh, it's so bad.
It's so bad. So it's District 20, which is like the western part of Palm Beach County, the western part of Broward County. It's just like this long like stretch of just random cities and then like a little bit to the east, a little bit to the ocean, like a little bit. And then not. It's just a crazy district.
It's so crazy. It's like, and it's impossible for a Republican to win just because of the fact that it picks up all of these rural areas and these, minority communities that are just busy living their lives. They're not really educating themselves on their best representation. So
no, they think $1,000. Woohoo!
Yeah, exactly. So, it's all about campaign messaging there, so it's like, it doesn't matter what they do. It's just what they say. And then they don't have any follow up or way to, or bother to hold them accountable.
And the congressman who sat in that seat before her was there for like 20 years, and longer. Right?
Oh,
Elsie Hastings.
Elsie Hastings, yeah.
So it was a very entrenched seat.
Yeah.
And so it was a special election because he passed away. So she was able to come in and, a lot of people aren't paying attention. There's a lot. And then once you're in, you're in.
Yep.
Until you're not. Until you get indicted by the DOJ. Yikes.
Yeah. So that was
not a good week it's really not a good week for Florida congressmen. Because you've also got Corey Mills, who it's funny enough. A friend of mine who lives in Texas, who was very involved in the Republican Party in Texas, she met Anthony Sabatini, who from that same area, who was a state rep, and he was running against Corey Mills, and she was really supporting him. So I got to see her a couple times because she'd come over and she'd drive up or take the train or whatever, come down and see me, and yeah, when Sabatini lost in the primary to Corey Mills, I texted her. I was like, what happened? She was like, dark money injection. There was so much money that got injected into Corey Mills' campaign in the primary that was like sketchy. And I was like, interesting. And now I'm like, even more interesting now that we're seeing what's happening with him.
So the thing is we find out like this happens on both sides. Yeah. So, it's really about educating yourself and knowing and kind of doing the deep dive. Like, it's very interesting. I'm trying to think who's State House 90. I was looking at their campaign reports, and it's just very interesting how you see who's donated to who and how many people. So I mean, basically, Maria Zach has a lot of outside money coming in for her,
like outside state.
Yeah, and not a whole lot. And then Rob Long has a lot of like local people. And it's like $25, $30,
he's lived in the city.
It's just very interesting. So I know the RPOF is helping Maria Zach with her race because she's the Republican in it. I think we got a flyer from the RPOF today supporting her for the election. So it's like you just have to educate yourself, and just because they're on your side. Now I am a full-bodied Republican. I believe in my party, but I don't blindly believe in my party and the candidates either. So I really want what's
anybody
best.
Can put an R in front of their name.
Yeah, and I don't support Democrats and I don't support NPAs if there's Republicans in the race. So I want to be clear about that. But also at the same time, we have to make sure that we're having good representation. And so we have to ask questions and we have to figure out like who is the best candidate to represent where you live. And sometimes, like for me, like I'm a party girl. So, most of the time I align
party girl.
I align with my party
girl.
But, but for your average voter, if they see these kind of things, even if they are a registered Republican, they would vote for a Democrat or they would vote for the NPA. So it's like you have to. We as Republicans, our candidates really need to be in integrity. They have to really start.
Or we're gonna lose people. Look, there was a poll I just was listening today. The most recent poll that came out. Republicans are in the garbage in polling for 2026 midterms.
Yeah.
So because I've gotten polled twice in the last 3 days. I got a call.
wow.
I get polled. First of all, I get every single poll at this point. I don't know.
That's kind of cool.
It is kind of fun. Although sometimes I get in them, I'm like, this is really long, and I don't have time to do that. It's like 5 questions, fine. If it's like 30, this is a problem. But one of them was if you it was a lot of emphasis on like if the election were held today, would you vote for the Republican candidate for Congress or the Democrat candidate for Congress? And apparently that poll went out to a lot of people because then that's what was talked about was that the generic Republican or Democrat question had Republicans.
Interesting.
Yeah. And people blame the shutdown on them because the media did a really good job doing that. But at the same time, what that means is that as people get involved in their individual races, they need to make up those points in their, because it doesn't reflect individual races. You still go and vote for a congressman or woman, a person, not a party necessarily. Like you do, but ultimately you're like, it's our job to make sure they want to vote for you. Like your job as a candidate and then our job as Republicans, to get out the vote and make sure that you're voting for the Republican. Anyway, obviously, point being is that we have a lot of work to do on the local level to get these people, good people elected, and we need our candidates to be of good merit and of good quality.
Exactly. It starts with a level of integrity. And one of the things that we're losing here in Palm Beach County is the Hispanic vote. That's starting to come out, and that's because people who have, may not be here legally, but have established lives here, that they are, or they have family members that are here illegally, but they're legal and able to vote, that they are more likely going to vote Democrat because they don't want to lose their family members that are here. So it's like, that's a double-edged sword, right? Because it's like, we don't want illegals to be here, but also at the same time, we have to understand that the system kind of always worked against them. So what is the legal process? Is it safe?
I would push back a little bit. It wasn't that the system worked against them; it's that they chose not to follow the system, and now what do we do?
You're right. Yes,
because
absolutely.
At some point the decision was made to not be here legally.
Right.
And it wasn't because
100%
the system,
right. And
I'm not saying the system is easy. I have a lot of friends who have legally immigrated here, and it is not an easy thing to do, but they also did it. So it's doable. It's people make an intentional choice not to do that.
Right.
And then the question is, and I don't disagree with your thought process, just that point specifically, but that we do have to know the impact of if we push the policies for deportations, what that will do to the votes.
And I think that so it gets to be tricky, right? Because after all, like, I'm human and I have empathy and I have understanding of other people. And I don't think generally that people are bad people. Not that there aren't bad people that do bad things, but I do generally think our human spirit means that people are generally good. I really want.
I disagree.
But
that's okay.
I really hope that in the world that there's more good people than there is bad people. And so if deportation is the answer, that's fine, and I have no problem with that. But is there a legal process if they were to turn themselves in and say, no, I want to leave here legally, and then be able to have,
So what you're saying is asylum.
No.
Okay.
No. It's the fact is that I've lived here for
amnesty. That's the word I'm looking for, not asylum.
Not really. No, I'm not saying give them a free pass, but give them a process. No free passes, but a process.
So, I think I would have agreed with that. I don't know how we got into this topic, but it does relate to us locally because it impacts us locally, as we've talked about in our last episode.
We're losing the Hispanic vote here in Palm Beach County.
We're losing the Hispanic vote, but also it impacts us economically. What did we talk about the other day about all of the ESL classes that now have to be resources that are taken from the kids in schools to be given to immigrant children that are potentially illegal, strongly potentially illegal, and therefore they're not paying taxes. They're not doing the things that we have to do in society in order to maintain our level of society. And so I don't know. This is a sticky one. I just think that we tried that before and it hasn't gone well. The reason that California is completely blue is because Ronald Reagan did this, gave them amnesty, gave them a path in the 80s, and then all of a sudden in the late 70s, 80s, and then that basically gave the voting rights to people who didn't really understand our culture, didn't have an appreciation for it because they didn't have to work for it. And therefore, it turned the whole state completely blue.
I guess it comes down to, what's the word? It's late.
I don't know. It is late. It's been a long week.
Assimilate.
Right. And so that's the problem. And I think that's important. That's a challenge that we had.
Can you speak English? Like, that's a big thing. Have you assimilated into our culture? Can you speak English?
Have you absorbed the American values and the American credo?
Yeah. So
that's not happening.
I think that's the litmus test, right? So it's like, look, I don't run anything and I can't make these decisions.
We're just yapping on a microphone.
So, it's like, and if you would have asked me 3 months ago, I would have been deport them all. And then when I just kind of look at the human side of it and be like, they came here for a better life. Have they assimilated? Can they speak English? I have a no tolerance for those that are here making our money and can't speak our language and want, printouts in their language and all of that kind of stuff that costs us extra money and resources to accommodate them. I don't think that that's right. But also it's like, is there a process? So are they just afraid? So is it like automatically deportation? So then that causes more problems too. And then, you have kids living in their car, their parents are deported, and then you have kids here. So this is creating a real big problem in Palm Beach County, and we're not going to solve it on this podcast.
No,
but
it
really
is not.
Something that we need to, that our candidates need to start looking at and finding out, like, okay, we either lose this portion of the population and Democrats keep getting able to do this year and decade after decade because they keep getting elected, or we actually have to find out how we can put processes into place to actually solve this problem. And so, at the RPOF, something we did too was that is what I learned from our RNC state committee woman. So that's our body that goes and directs up to the RNC. Mm-hmm. And I didn't write down her name. I can't believe I didn't do that. But I think her name is Catherine, if I'm not mistaken. But Florida, Republicans won Florida in elections by vote by mail for years. I don't think people know that.
Interesting.
Yep. So Republicans won in Florida for years by vote by mail, which at the time was called
absentee ballots. Because I have voted absentee before when I was overseas during the election. I voted for GW in the second. It was my first time voting.
Yep.
My first time I could vote. I was overseas and I did an absentee ballot.
Right. So is what she said was very interesting. She's like, we have to play all four quarters. She's like, for those that are against mail-in ballots, we get it. We all get it. Like, we don't want them. If we could just do away with them, we would wave a magic wand and do away with them and have one day voting paper ballots like that. We're all in agreement with that.
Nobody's
for the most
arguing
part.
that
and I
against
think
that.
And I think down to a point, a lot of Democrats would feel that way too, because they think we do it on our side too, so
yeah, they think, well, they like to, accuse the other side of what you're doing.
Exactly. So when you think about it, about playing all four quarters, it's like, why would you start the game down, like not play the first three quarters of a game and just play the fourth quarter? So our vote by mail is like the first quarter. So if you're not going to make sure that you're going to vote on election day, then vote by mail. If you aren't going to vote by mail, but not sure if you're going to vote on election day, then vote early voting. If you know for sure you're going to vote on election day, then make sure you're there, high or hell water, that your vote is there and it's counted.
We have also had early voting here for a very long time.
Forever.
Like, for a very long time. Like, I've always been an early voter.
Me
since
too.
I could vote.
Me too.
As long as we could have it. I actually could probably, I will find out the first time we had early voting. I do have a connection. But it's been it's been a really long time that we've had early voting. I mean, and then the absentee ballot. And I wonder if that's because we have military bases in Florida. A lot of military votes are absentee votes. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if that's why, or the snowbirds.
It's probably a little bit of all of that, I would say.
Interesting. It's interesting.
You know, it's like we want to make it easy for people to vote, but we want to make it hard to cheat. You know, like that's the thing. And, you know, so really it's about banking your vote. If you're lower on the propensity, like it's like you really haven't educated yourself too much on the candidates, but you want your party to win, then there's nothing wrong with you voting by mail or voting early and just getting in your ballot.
Just vote.
Yeah.
Correctly.
Exactly.
Vote. What is it? Vote early and vote often.
Yeah.
Nobody clip that, okay?
Yeah. And so
it's a quote from the Democrats.
Yeah. So it's like we want to make sure that we're pushing low propensity voters, you know, like we're reaching out to them. We're telling them their vote matters, and however they choose to do that helps us. Right now in Palm Beach County, I think it was quoted to me, we're down 38% in vote by mail right now.
That is huge.
That's huge.
That is very hard
literally,
to overcome.
That's like being set in timeout the entire first quarter.
Yeah, I think we got to go by periods, like hockey, because hockey's 3 periods.
Yeah.
So if we're going vote by mail, early voting, and election day, 3 periods, we're out the first period, and then we're just clawing our way back in the second and third.
Correct. And when they, you know, and then they can see who voted, then they just go and they just get more vote by mail ballots. Over and over and over again. So I thought that was really interesting at the RPOF. And then I'm trying to think. I can't read my writing here. So
well, I can't read your writing.
It was really there was I'm trying to think if it was like a committee meeting or it was like a breakout meeting that they said that there is a lot of pettiness and anger in our party when candidates lose. So our candidates that lose become very bitter.
Yep.
And very angry.
Yep.
And
then they start clubs to try to take the whole party down. Ask me how I know.
And so the emphasis on us as a party is that we should be focusing on policy disagreements, not bashing.
Petty squabbles.
Right. Not bashing candidates. Because that's what ends up happening. And there's this whole smear campaign that happens in the primary. And we need to make sure that us as a party are holding our candidates accountable to making sure that if you disagree, make sure that it's based on policy.
And I would go even further and say that we're having this issue also with our electeds, because the way that our Republican electeds get treated once they get elected is abhorrent. Yeah. Like, I don't know what would incentivize any sane person, quite honestly, to run for anything more than city council, really, because our party just turns on them. If the moment you don't do what they want, or do what they want, but don't do it the way that they want you to do it, or I don't know, and they turn on you, and it's vicious and ugly, and
well, you're never good enough for them.
Right, exactly. And so how are we going to get quality people who want to run when they see how would be treated by the people who they're supposed to represent?
You make a great point, because I'm actually on the candidate recruitment and support committee. And so it's really hard. You know, we talk to candidates all the time that are interested in running or whatever. And there's some areas where we cannot even find a candidate to run, because they're like, why? Like, your party treats people like crap. Why would I put my hat in the ring and go through all of that to possibly lose against a Democrat because my own party is working against me?
Or if I win, then I'm going to have my name dragged through the mud for the whole time I'm in office because I don't goose
So
step
it's
the way
really
you want
hard.
me to.
It's really hard for us to build a farm team because of our own party antics. And so I really hope that we just get back to integrity and civility and understanding what's the most important thing. And I think the more candidates that we have that step up and talk about honesty and integrity and what's really hurting people, insurance reform, tax reform, like these are things that we really need to be focusing on so that we can build a strong unity within our party and really having a strong platform where we pick a few major issues that we actually want to address as a party and then focus on those issues so that we don't get so much in the weeds and it gets to be just about party politics and who's a rhino and who's not.
Oh my gosh, there's
America
factions that use the word rhino like the Democrats use racist.
Yeah.
It's what they're doing.
If you don't agree with them, you're just a rhino.
You're just a rhino.
Yeah.
Even though
they don't have an argument. It's the fact is it's like, okay, you want to call me a rhino because I don't agree with you, but I don't agree with you because of the experience
you're wrong.
and knowledge that I have. Like, you're not trying to convince me besides calling me names. Like, I don't know how that works. And
right. And that's what I'm saying. That it's like, the rhino is to the Republican psychos as like, I know I keep every episode, the last few episodes, it's like talking about Ben Shapiro. Listening to Ben Shapiro. His like, I don't know, his moral clarity on a lot of things in a lot of stuff that's going on right now, and the way he talks about like the party and how what he's saying is, and we see it at the national level and I'm seeing it at the local level, and it's that it's power, it's a power grab.
Yep.
And so we're seeing it at the national level with people trying to think that President Trump is like lame duck. He calls him, people think he's like lame duck president because he's not lame duck president, lame duck leader of MAGA. Mm-hmm. Because he's not, they're trying to all wrestle and make MAGA what they want it to be. Mm-hmm. And his thing is President Trump is MAGA. Like, that's it. Like, what he decides is MAGA. Like, it's his brand. It's his thing. Like, you can't take that and turn it into whatever you want it to be. And I think that we're seeing that somewhat on the local level where we're seeing people, it's like riding the power high of like, all right, we're in charge. We won some things. We've got this. Let's just go crazy and all these things. And it's like, slow down. Let's focus on what makes us a Republican. What makes you a conservative? What makes us a conservative Republican Party? MAGA is a part of that. But what does that mean?
Yeah.
What do these words mean? Words have meaning. And we're seeing this happen all over the place. We've seen it happen on the left, and now it's just working its way and warming its way over to the right, where they're taking words and just making up new definitions for them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, words matter. Words mean something. And part of my view as a conservative is to conserve the meaning of words.
I love that. That should definitely be something that we do. Conserving the meaning of words is so important because that's how you're not able to be manipulated.
Exactly.
Because if everybody knows what certain words mean, then it's easier for everybody to understand. Instead of, there's things that can be manipulated and changed into different meanings, but also at the same time, you need to create and make sure that the structure of the meaning of what you meant is still there and have really good communication and clarity. And, one of the things that I've learned over the years, especially, working with clients and being a life coach, is communication is a big deal. It's like you have to be clear in what your needs and wants are if you really want to have a healthy and successful life. Mm-hmm. But you also need to be able to communicate with people so that you're not critical and you're not, using harshness to be able to get people on the same playing field with you. Back in it's probably worse now. I believe 90% of the United States or even the world is codependent. And so when you really look at that, and what codependence means is that you're looking outside of yourself before making a decision. Mm-hmm. So you're reliant on other people in order to function. And so it's also been called like a para-alcoholic, and like you're drowning trying to save somebody else is codependency. And so we're in, and social media has kind of really highlighted this because it comes about like how many likes you have and what do they think. And I even find myself like, I'll text a couple people like, what do you think? How does this read? Because I wanted to make sure that I'm being clear and I'm being understood. And a lot of people don't have that filter. They just say stuff without actually understanding, like, words do have meaning and words can hurt. And there's sometimes you can't take back words that you say.
It's like toothpaste. When I was a kid, we did, my parents did the thing where we all had a paper plate and they handed us all little tubes of toothpaste. They were like, squish out the toothpaste. I'll squish out the toothpaste and play with it and have a lot of fun. I'll never forget this life lesson. And my dad was like, okay, so your words are like the toothpaste. Can you, and then he said, can you put the toothpaste back in the bottle? And we're all like, no, you can't do that. And he was like, that's how words are. Words are like toothpaste. Once they're out of the bottle, you can't put them back in. You can only clean them up.
Yep. Exactly. And I think a lot of people in politics don't understand that very well. And so they don't.
It's a very wordy business.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a blood sport. That's been my new favorite line for like the last few months now, is when I'm talking to candidates and stuff. I'm like, look, politics is a blood sport. And if you're not willing to, get some bumps and bruises and scrapes along the way, you're not going to be able to win and you're not going to be successful. You have to be able to have self-accountability and responsibility and clean up your shit as it comes out. That's just the way that it's going to be. And so, like I said, it's a blood sport, and this year is going to be no different, and it's going to start with municipals, and we have so many municipals that have, multiple candidates. I'm going to finish up with a couple of quick things. I just want to follow up with the RPOF. The attorney's report for the RPOF was really cool and interesting. So Florida is definitely well represented at the RNC now that Joe Gruters is the chair of the RNC. And then our the RPOF chairman is also on the RNC. I don't know if he's like a committee person. I think he's on the candidate recruitment committee for the
Florida
RNC.
Rising.
Yep. So that's really awesome. The Democrats actually tried to stop the petition collection law by non-registered voters in Florida, believe it or not. So
Wait. There's a law to make sure that petition signers are registered voters.
So you remember last year they put forth the bill to have it where petitions were only done by registered Florida voters.
Oh, the petition creators. Or the signers.
The ones that go and collect the petitions.
Collectors.
Right. So for the abortion amendment and for the marijuana amendment is what we found out is a lot of these people that were going around and collecting petitions to get it on the ballot were not registered Florida voters, or they were out of state, or they weren't registered at all. So there was a law to make, like, if you really believe that this is something that you think Florida voters should vote for, then you should be a Florida registered voter to collect these petitions. So, of course, the Democrats sued that it was, against, their rights or whatever.
Their rights to manipulate us.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, no.
So the judge ruled that was in stay, which means that the law can continue. So they're hoping to be successful in that, but they are watching it closely. Voter registration must match the state records. So that's in a little bit of a legal battle as well. But we're looking to be able to excel on that one as well. I feel like I just said as well like 4 times. So, and then a lot of the election lawsuits that are out there are being won by the RPOF. So we actually have really good I think we learned a lot from 2020. That a lot of lawsuits and things happened after the election instead of before, and that we didn't clean up our laws and make sure that they, cut, past the mustard or whatever you want to say, to, in time for the election so that it was very clear what the laws were. So I'm glad to hear that we have made improvement in that area.
We're learning from our mistakes.
And I'm trying to think what else. That's really... a great partnership with the Young Republicans with the RPOF. They actually voted in to have a young Republican on the executive board. They actually did that.
Is it anyone we know?
I don't remember who it was. It wasn't familiar to me.
Oh, okay.
But they have 23 young Republican chapters in the state, over 1,086 members. So they're looking to have great partnerships with the young Republicans. So a lot of the young Republicans had their own meetings and stuff.
Yeah, there's like a whole club. I know.
Well,
within the RPOF.
Within the RPOF.
That's good.
So that was really cool. I think there was like 40 people or something there from the Young Republicans, and they were invited to the chairman's reception at the end of the night on Saturday. A lot of fun, or Friday night. A lot of people we knew, so that was nice. We had some, local
Shout out to
there.
Young Republicans. They're awesome.
Yep.
And they also voted in something else, the guy out of Miami, correct?
That was the guy out of.
That wasn't Young Republicans, though. That was something else.
That was. Are you
Yes,
sure?
It was something else. It was almost like high school kids or.
It was the college. It was the college chapter.
Yes.
It was it was the college chapter.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good too.
So needless to say, the RPOF is reaching younger people and making sure that they're involved and they have a seat at the table.
And polling, that's good because then it funnels in. That's where we get pools of good candidates,
Correct.
good operatives,
Correct.
campaign managers, all of that.
I think of like Marco Rubio because I think he started like when he was like 20 or something, going up through the political,
I mean, look at
steps.
LaFauci.
Yeah,
I mean, what is he, 20 something?
I think he's 27, 28.
Right. So he's been doing this for like 12 years already.
Yeah,
like.
I'm like
When he
he's
said that to
he's
us-
an OG. I asked him for advice.
Yeah,
Like, what does this
yeah.
mean?
So if you haven't seen the episode with a couple of our episodes with Joe, you definitely want to go back and watch him. You'll learn a lot. But when we interviewed him, the first time he came on was more of an interview. The second time he was more like just chatting. So the first time I was like, wait, so how long have you been doing this? 10 years. I was like, wait, how old are you? Like that doesn't seem right. And he was like, no, yeah, since I was like 16, 17, which is awesome. It's awesome. I hope that like I'm gonna, my kids aren't quite to that age yet, but I almost brought Noah, one of my childs. It's been a really long week. One of my children. So I went to an event last night for Fran.
Oh,
I think I put it in the chat, but anyway, I went to a thing last night for Fran. And I was almost going to have to bring one of my kids. In the end, my husband had a slight change in schedule. And he's like, okay, you don't have to. And so I get home, and she's all bummed that she didn't get to go with me. She's like, I wanted to meet Fran. I was like, okay, you'll meet Fran, I promise. So she wanted to go. But, yeah, it was really great. Oh, my gosh. Her speech was so good. I was like, I should have recorded this. I should have recorded this.
She's so great.
She's so good. We need to get her elected. Fran is going to be Fran Nacklis. So Fran Nacklis. Okay. So should I jump to Boca stuff? Are you good?
I just wanted to highlight a couple things with county stuff. And then we can move on to super local.
Okay.
So, Board of County Commissioners haven't watched the last two meetings. However, we do have a new mayor in Palm Beach County. Sarah Baxter is our new mayor. I did post it on our socials.
Yes. I saw
and then Marcy Woodward is our new vice mayor.
Nice.
And then that made them of the Solid Waste Authority. That made Vice Mayor Marcy Woodward the chair of the Solid Waste.
That's how that works, right?
Yep.
So she's the chair of the Solid
And then that they voted for Joelle Flores to be the vice chair and Bobby Powell to be the secretary. So that tells you that if Marcy gets reelected, if Commissioner Woodward gets elected, she would be the next mayor.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, the next mayor would be Joelle Flores. So be concerned and watch closely what happens, because this is how that works. And then after Joelle, if Powell gets reelected, he would then be the mayor after that. So these are things, this is how it works. This is how it's worked for, a decade or so. I think even longer.
Obama was the one when we first put the mayorship in. So in the window.
So about a decade, a little longer, 15 years or so. Yeah. So we're going to be back under Democrat control if we don't get, our Republicans either reelected or making sure that a Republican wins.
Get our Republican,
yeah.
It's gonna be interesting.
And then there's another thing going around that one of the teachers' unions, I don't want to say their name, and I didn't write it down because I wanted to make sure that I didn't say their name because I don't want to bring attention to teachers' unions, is that they are demanding larger raises. So they were offered a 1.5% raise, and they are demanding 5%.
Nobody gets 5% raises.
So it's very interesting because the school budget is $5.9 billion and we can't pay our teachers, apparently.
No, but I listen, I'm not begrudging the teachers the money, but
they make about $60,000 a year.
Which, did you know that the average median income for Palm Beach County is $111,000?
Doesn't surprise me.
That's insane. So they're below that.
So in Palm Beach County, you have to have a 2-income home.
Unless you're making, because that's the average median. So that means the cost of living is higher.
Correct.
Yeah. So you either have to have a 2-income home, or you have to have supplemental income, or you have to be pushing the next tax bracket.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Very interesting. Anyway, so listen, I should not say.
And there's a lot, right? So, and then, I will say there's a lot of tax talk in the committees and stuff on the state level. If you go to JodiSchwartzUSA.com, she actually has all of the a recap of all the legislative bills, and you can actually print it out and you can look at it and you can see what those bills are outlining and what they're proposing as they go and work through committee. So thank you to our state committee woman, Jody Schwartz, for doing all of that legwork and finding out what the bills that are on the table for that.
That's going to be really interesting. So I was just reading an article earlier and kind of doing some show prep and stuff, and about the property taxes. And so there's obviously a lot of pushback from local municipalities and the fire department, because they're not getting some of the same considerations as the police and I can't remember one of the other departments in some of these bills, where they some of these they're saying that you cannot cut funding to like police departments, but the fire department's not getting the same considerations, which means that if this happens, then that could be something that gets cut.
Well, it was interesting because most of these bills that I looked through too, they were like non-school board. So
we're still paying the biggest portion of property taxes to the school, and we're giving up all of our safety services
for school board.
That's
$5.9 billion.
Correct. And none of them are coming up with ways to actually pay for our safety services. None of these bills have that. They all say you counties have so much money and cities have so much money that you just can't cut it. They don't talk about the pass-through money. They don't talk about what the actual revenue is. They don't talk about any of this. And so we had the Doge come in and show all of these places where they're over. And I'm not saying that there's not over budgeting and over this and over that, over that. I think that there are better ways that the state legislature could crack down on budgeting for the counties more and the cities, and say, hey, look, you need to cut, here's like more cutting of wasteful spending, and say, then how can you then reduce people's taxes? How can you do that? As opposed to saying, we're just going to take it away altogether. Yeah. Because like Boca just reduced our budget. So it hasn't hit us where we got our millage rate reduced yet, but that comes next.
Yeah.
Like once the budget gets reduced and we get used to that and that adjustment, then millage rates can be adjusted.
Right, but then aren't they going for a bond?
It's going on the ballot.
Yeah.
So that's going to be up to the voters.
So they're going to reduce the budget, but then they're going to go after more money.
Yes. But it's up to the voters on that one.
Right.
We don't have a vote on the budget, but we have a vote on if we're going to give them the bond or not.
Yeah.
And then also this article pointed out that if this happens and if they cut the property taxes, then it severely impacts obviously the revenue stream, which impacts credit scores for all of these municipalities and counties.
Oh, yeah.
And when they go to get bonds, go to get loans, go to do infrastructure,
business,
to do infrastructure projects, to do business, that they will get loans that will end up costing the taxpayers more money because that's going to have to come from somewhere. And so the whole thing is so short-sighted. It's making me cuckoo bananas. And believe, as I always preface this and saying, I don't want to pay property taxes. I don't like it. But we have to pay taxes. I
did kind of glance at one that it was like there was a step down program, which I kind of liked that. So it was like phasing out property taxes over the course of 10 years so that it's a slow adjustment. And that's kind of what, I think I had mentioned before previously, that I was like, well, if you just move here and you buy your house, like you should have to pay taxes for 5 years or something along that nature. And then it get phased out, or 5 years, you full price, 4 years, steps down. But to just move here and say, oh, you don't have to pay property taxes, to me is like, that's just not fair to the people who have paid and built all of this infrastructure and everything else. Because one of the things is like, we're going to have an influx of people moving here again.
Probably Palm Beach County's advertising up in Manhattan.
Everywhere.
Yeah, they're like got beautiful big ads that say it's not you, we know it's not us, it's you, New York.
Yeah,
or something like that.
So
come to Palm Beach County, and I was like, oh my gosh.
So it's really interesting. So we have 39 municipalities in Palm Beach County, and then I think we have approximately 20 races or so that have elections coming up in this March. And so we're kind of in an influx because like some of the municipalities have closed qualification for their elections, and then I think there's a couple municipalities that don't close their qualifications till November 21st. So it's going to be really interesting of how these municipalities have these elections and who wins, because how are they going to handle these things?
That's a question that that should be asked. If you are in a municipality and you have elections, you should be asking your candidates, like, what's your thoughts or what's your plan if the voters vote next year and you're on the dais, the voters vote to remove property taxes. Do you have a plan?
Yeah.
That's a great question. I'm actually going to ask that of all the candidates I meet with now.
So it's like, as talking with candidates and trying to, because it's like, once qualification is set, then I'll be able to have a better idea of like what
I can tell you
Boca's definitely going to be a hot race for sure.
Qualifying is done.
Yeah.
Everyone who's qualified is there.
Yeah. So, but as far as like, we'll have the chessboard set probably the first week of December. I'll have a better idea of like who's running and what races to watch and, hot candidates and, things of that nature. And I just mean, hot candidates to watch, not that they're, physically hot. But,
sure.
Some of them might be. You never know. Oh, I met a guy in Wellington, very good looking, actually. So, it's funny listening and talking. We have some really great candidates out there. We really do. We're really lucky. And then we have some that are not so great. So it's like, it's like they mean well, most all of them mean well. And I think that they want what's best for their cities. So, it's just like, oh, I wish they would do some coaching or get a little stronger or, that kind of thing.
Trial by fire.
Yeah. So it's interesting, but we are at least setting candidates up for success, making sure that they have campaign managers and consultants and, people who understand the grassroots efforts and how to move the needle. So we are at least trying our best to set up candidates for success this cycle. So municipals are coming up. We still have the special election for State House 90. I think early voting starts the weekend after Thanksgiving, I believe. Yep. So vote by mails have already went out. Day of election is December 9th. That's Tuesday, the second Tuesday of December. So that's where we stand kind of locally with, as far as like the big overall view, as far as upcoming elections. And then we're off to the races. I'm hearing about 2 more congressional candidates that are going to be jumping in January.
Really? Which race?
For CD 22. So I'm hearing that we're going to have some more school board candidates coming into the race, probably December, January, in a couple of those seats that are open. So it's gonna get spicy.
Gonna pop off. I know the gubernatorial race is heating up. Jake Collins is in, right? He's declared.
Did he finally file? Because last at the RPOF he had not filed yet, but I haven't had a chance to look.
Yammering about it. I haven't.
I really like him, actually. He's actually a really nice guy. And what, we actually heard from Paul Renner, too, at the RPOF, and that was an interesting thing to hear. No, actually, he didn't. And he stayed for a long time to talk to people. Anybody that had questions, he stayed and he talked to them. So, he's... And he had an ice cream social. Thanks for the ice cream, Paul Renner. I will say that.
Huh. Sorry.
Sorry. All of a sudden we went dead.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know. I'll have to look. But I did get it. So one of the surveys that I got was on the gubernatorial race. And it was this. So one of the guys, Fishback. So they asked me, and I hadn't heard of him. And so that was a question. Do you know who this is? I was like, nope, actually I don't. And I'm pretty informed. And so Fishback, who's Fishback? Do you know?
I don't know much about him. He popped up on X, I want to say a few weeks to a month ago, and started kind of calling out Republicans and Democrats and everything. He sounds very, America first, I would say. Talks good stuff. I don't think he's off the wall so far. But I haven't been paying that close of attention. So I don't know. It's going to be very interesting. I think if anything else, it will help Byron Donalds be a better candidate.
Yeah. I mean, I think,
it's his race to lose.
It's his race to lose. I mean, he's raised so much money.
Yeah.
And I just was reading and he got another endorsement. He's getting endorsements, but he's getting endorsements from people not in the state.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I talk about this all the time. It's going to be a showdown between the out-of-state influence and the in-state influence. The DeSantis, hardcore DeSantis grassrooters and the Trumpers who think Florida is on a pedestal and it's so great and all of these things. And then Byron's going to continue that legacy and they don't really actually understand the conflict that's happening here in the state level.
Yeah.
Between Republicans in this matter and how what DeSantis did how DeSantis governed was very unique to the way the party does he was very Florida focused and he pushed that a lot. And I don't know that.
I mean, he's new in the
Byron's
race, Fishback, so I don't want to give him any more kudos than what he deserves or that I've recognized. But I do see his opportunity would be a party uniter. If he had the ability to do that, it could make a difference. I don't know if he's able to do that.
He's young.
He is young.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Obviously, I didn't have time to look him up because I got the thing when I was at Michael's with my daughter shopping for her 8 roll of Scotch tape in 3 weeks because she's building a mini city from cardboard and Scotch tape. So if anybody, wants to donate to my daughter's Scotch tape addiction, please let us know. But that's when I got the call for the survey, and that's where I didn't actually get a chance to look him up. So yeah, he's 30.
Yeah, he is young. And I mean, I don't know what his chances are of winning, and like I stated, I think at this point it is Byron Donalds' race to lose, but we could use some uniting in our party. So if it helps kind of bring those two factions together one way or another, it may be not a terrible thing. And I just hope that they play nice in the sandbox. They probably won't, but it would be nice if they did.
It'll be interesting to see.
To say the least. And, my understanding is I haven't watched my Capitol updates in a while. I've been dealing with some, outside organizational drama that's caused me a lot of headaches and having to take up a majority of my time. So I do apologize for not being able to bring more local information as far as the county and things that, you know, our listeners are kind of used to and rely on. So hopefully that drama gets cleaned up pretty quickly so that I can get back to doing what I do best.
Come on, Jessica, drop them.
Yeah, exactly. I just need another 100 hours a week. That's fine.
This has been like we already talked about it earlier about how like time just flew by, and I was like, wait, what's happening? We're recording tonight. I gotta look. I mean, I did, like I said, I did do some prep, looking at different things. There was one bill that I did notice that was a bill about party affiliations that to change the. I guess I thought this was already a thing. But I guess it was maybe countywide and not necessarily statewide that you have to be a party member of your declared party for a year before you can file.
I thought that was statewide.
I thought it was statewide too, but there was a bill that is being discussed, and then of course they're getting pushback from, and it's all these things, and it was like a whole thing. I was reading in Florida. What's it called? What's it called?
Florida politics?
Yes, Florida politics, and I was like, interesting. So I thought that was definitely something, you know. Should keep an eye on, especially if you're looking to be a candidate.
Most of the municipalities, you have to live there a year to be able to run as a candidate. Yeah. So I feel that,
and I'm pretty sure in our county you have to.
I thought that was a thing. I really thought that.
I did too. That's why I was like, wait, what? And I was reading through it, and I was like, I guess it's not for the
because
state.
we had a few candidates jump in before 2024, literally that they wouldn't have been a Republican for a year until qualification.
Right, because I think they were for county races.
Right.
So I think, let me pull the article, because I think it was for...
I think to be a member in our party, our local party, you have to be a Republican for a year.
If passed, signed into law, the bill strengthening candidates' qualifying rules could take effect immediately before next year's elections. So it could get harder. So the bill advanced Wednesday. Yeah, this is a bill, that Senate Bill 62. Introducing that would require politicians running for office to be registered under their political parties or listed as NPA for at least 1 year before the beginning of the qualifying period preceding the general election.
Oh, that's what it is. A year before the qualifying. Oh. That's the difference. It was you had to be a year to qualifying. So if you joined in June. So if you changed your party affiliation for June of, let's say, 25, then you could still run as a candidate as long as that year was up by June of 26. So based on that sounds like it's saying before you did it.
I don't know. It says would require politicians running for office to be registered for at least 1 year before the beginning of the qualifying period preceding the general elections.
No, so that's the same.
No, so I think it's the same. I think it's statewide. I think ours was county.
Could be.
Anyway, so I don't know. Don't quote me on this, but this is a bill that's happening. You can look it up. It's Senate Bill 62.
It should be that way.
The article is interesting because it's saying that this bill, let's see, this bill, their bills come after several high-profile Democrats jumped ship. Nearly 1 year ago, Representative Susan Valdez made headlines when she announced on X she was dumping the Dems and joining the Republicans. You had the Hillsborough, Hillary Cassell also, who did that. And then Jason Pizzo, who he didn't switch parties, but he did drop the D in front of his name. And so that's where these bills are stemming from, is to then force, I guess, candidates to stick to the party. I guess. I don't know. So then that begs the question is, if this passes and they've switched parties like midterm, can they then not run for re-election? That might be why they're doing it.
That could be, you might be right, because then that would keep those candidates from being able to run for their new.
They would have to do it.
They would have to take a step back. They would have to not run for re-election.
Yeah.
And run the next cycle as their new party.
That's why they're doing it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So that was one that kind of caught my eye when I was reading through. Another fun article that I read was that there's discussion now about who Byron Donalds, because they think he's going to be the anointed and appointed, who he's going to pick for his lieutenant governor. So we could see someone out of Palm Beach County pulled for that job. So we'll see.
Yeah, that was very interesting.
That's interesting. I'm not going to name any names yet.
Yeah.
You could go read the articles.
So so it's like For
It's
not
never a dull moment.
Yeah, so being November, the year before the election even, starts, and qualifying is barely even completed for your municipals, it's been nonstop, political wise here in Florida, and especially Palm Beach County.
And we're here to bring you all the news.
Yeah.
As best as we can.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think those are all my things. There's, if you live in the city, Boca has a whole list of holiday things coming up. The Christmas tree lighting is a Saturday. I can't go. I have a conflict, but I have gone the last few years. It's a lot of fun. It's very like small town feeling, makes you feel connected to the city. They do, last year it was really cool because it was very dark. It was kind of crazy. So it's in Meisner Park. And so they do the main event in the amphitheater, but they have Christmas trees all lined up along the center of Meisner Park.
Yep.
And then they have a big display also at the end where like the big chair is over by Yard House. And so they would like flip the switch and like everything lit up. And it was really cool. So it's a lot of fun.
Cool.
So there's tons of things going on. I know all the cities are doing lots of things. So definitely
it's a good
kicking off the holiday season
to get ingrained in your community. And one of the things that I tell candidates is like get ingrained in your community, find out what events are going on, and find out like, do you like them? Are they things that your city should be investing in? Talk to the residents, talk to people who come. Like, is this something that tax dollars should be spent on? Is this something that could be done by private partnership? Like, these are things that you can start to kind of think about and participate in, and really observe your community and find out what's going on. Because the more, if you observe and you learn, you become the smartest person in the room, right? Because you have as much information as anybody else. So it makes you good and ripe to make good decisions. So really, these are great times to get involved. If you're thinking of running for office now or in the future, it is a great way to get ingrained in your community and find out like how your representatives are representing you. Are they at these events?
A lot of them go to these events.
Right.
This is like I know that usually at least the mayor and at least a couple of the council members are on stage during the Christmas tree lighting.
And a lot of people will vote for oh yeah, I met them at that Christmas party. Yeah. She was really nice. I'm going to vote for her.
Yep.
And that's all it takes.
That's all it takes. So yeah, if you're a candidate, these are the events that you want to be at. Find out what's happening in your city. Get out there and meet your constituents. This is the best time to campaign.
Just get yourself out there.
To get yourself out there and get to know your neighbors.
You don't have to have a big campaign sticker on or anything.
No,
just talk
wear
to
your
people.
button, your shirt, and just say, hi, my name is. And people love it. People love meeting the people running for office.
Yeah.
They really do.
Yeah.
And especially in smaller towns like Boca and Delray, like smaller towns, I say, not small towns, but they are.
Yeah.
You believe me, they are. When I go to these events, I'm like, my husband thinks I'm the mayor of Boca because I know so many people because everyone goes to the same things.
Yeah.
So like they kind of are. And so then it's a really great way. And so, yeah, I would highly recommend that.
Yeah. Definitely. It's a good time just for community, just for your soul, just to kind of
I
like,
know, it's
what
so
are
fun.
you
I'm really bummed
for?
we're not going on.
It's like, what are you?
And I don't even have a Christmas tree. Like,
what
we
are
don't
you
do
fighting
this. We
for?
just like to
what
go
are
see
you?
other people's Christmas trees.
It's like, are you fighting just to stay in the four walls of your home and protect your children? Or are you really looking to fight for your community and make sure that what makes America great, which is our communities, and pulling together and enjoying our lives? I mean, it's paradise here.
It makes you, when you enjoy your life, it makes you not, like they say, like happy people don't revolt.
Yes.
But when you enjoy your life, happy people will defend.
Yes.
And we need to be in defense mode and really be protecting what we have and realizing what we have is so unique and so beautiful compared to a lot of places in the world.
Yeah.
And like, I'm doing this study right now with my kids. Like we're reading, we're doing world history. And so we read this book. It's called Window in the World, and it talks about different people groups in different countries and different things. And it gives just like a little synopsis, history, and da-da-da-da. And like the theme over and over and over again in a lot of these places is a lot of kids aren't able to go to school. A lot of kids are not able to do this. They don't have this. They have to work. They live on the streets and all these things. And so my kids who are very, American sheltered kids are like, what? What does that mean? I'm like, exactly. And so what we have is precious, and we need to be willing to defend it and do it the right way. And so echoing what you're saying, Jessica, getting out in your community, being out there, seeing this is what I want to defend.
Yeah. Even if you don't really so much want to participate yourself, but just to say like these are good down home things that just make America really special. And that at the end of the day, we just want happy, healthy families and communities, and we all want to just live in happy prosperity. And as we get into the holidays, it's just a good time to kind of reflect on all of that and set your purpose for the next year of like, where do you want to see your community going? How are you going to get involved? How are you going to make a difference? And now's a good time to kind of set forth that, I want to help, 2 candidates get elected. I want to help a vote by mail initiative. I want to help, get 5 candidates elected,
My kids are ready to door knock.
Yeah. So
when are we going door knocking, Mom?
Whatever that, I'm going to make it a point to make 1,000 calls for a candidate, or send out text messages, or make sure my family is just educated on who the candidates are, or attend local, I'm going to make sure that I vet the candidates this year. There's so many things that you can do that you haven't done that that little bit of effort will make such a world of difference in spades when it comes down to it. Little bit of efforts can create a whole lot of momentum and a lot of change.
Absolutely.
So
that's all I got tonight.
That's all I got too.
Right. That's it. Then I'll say my goodbye, and then Jessica, because have a happy Thanksgiving. I hope you guys enjoy it. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Our next episodes will be recorded the weeks and dropped the weeks of December 4th around there, and the December 18th. So make sure you stay tuned and enjoy.
We'll have lots of tea. We'll have lots of tea. Hopefully, we'll know a little bit more of like what municipalities to be able to watch and pay attention to. So definitely don't hit pause on us in December. You're gonna want to be able to get as much information and be able to know if you live in a municipality, which ones you want to be sure that you're paying attention to. So thank you so much. Absolutely happy Thanksgiving. Please, we are thankful for you.
Yes, thankful.
We hope you're thankful for us. If you are thankful and feel like giving, you can check us out on our website at wethelocalspodcast.com. You can check into our donation link if you're interested in sponsoring. You can email us at wethelocalsfl@gmail.com. You can also give us any of your comments, any of your questions, any of your concerns. We'll be happy to address them. We've had actually a few people reach out to us and been able to respond and have good communication with them. So don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have anything that you would like to discuss. Make sure you check out our socials, Instagram, X, on Facebook. We're We The Locals or We The Locals FL. Again, be sure to like our channels, subscribe, comment. We still check all of that, even though we're not live right now. But they're unedited. You kind of see them as they are. I add a little banner and a little graphic at the beginning and the end, but we don't edit anything out. This is pure content for your enjoyment, pleasure, or disdain, whichever. It's fine.
Love us, hate us. It's all
as
good.
long as you watch. Oh, I forgot to say, I spoke with Representative Deb Tendrick. I hope she watches. If you're watching, Representative, hi. But she actually mentioned something about watching our show.
Really?
And she was like, there was a lie about, and I don't remember what she said, so I definitely apologize. I gave her my card and said, I said, you are welcome to set the record straight anytime, Representative. Here's my card, and thank you for watching.
She said we lied about her?
No, we lied about something.
I
don't know what.
It was our guest.
Our guest, or whatever. It's not important.
Oh,
and like I said,
watched the episode with Daniel.
Yes. So I said, you're more than welcome to set the record straight anytime. I gave her my card. So you don't have to be on our side or anything. Like, I will engage. I will talk to you. I actually spoke to her for a really long time. That was an event that I went to. I forgot to mention about. Oh, and I went to the Citizens Journalism Awards with James O'Keefe at Mar-a-Lago.
A few weeks.
Yeah. Like oh my God. But yeah. So that was very interesting. Made some amazing contacts. Got to talk with my girl crush, Carolyn Wren, who was the campaign manager for Carrie Lake. So that was fun. So sorry, I'm just putting in those little tidbits. I wanted to make sure that I let people know, like, I'm doing lots of things to make sure that I can give you as much information as possible. So be sure to check us out on all of our channels. Have a great night, everybody, and stay local. Bye.